Picture this. A fishing boat slides into harbor just after midnight. 3 weeks at sea, the engine finally cuts out. The water goes flat as glass. And 100 feet up the dock, there's a room with a real bed, a hot shower, and a mattress that hasn't moved in a decade. The fisherman ties off the boat. He could walk up there right now. Nobody's stopping him. He's exhausted. He hasn't slept more than 4 hours straight in almost a month. And instead, he stays on the boat. He climbs back down into a cramped bunk the size of a coffin, next to a diesel engine, in a cabin that smells like salt and fuel and fish. And here's the part that makes no sense to anyone who's never done it. That's not stubbornness. That's not habit. That is the smartest decision he's going to make all night. Because if he walks up to that hotel and lies down on that perfect, still, silent bed, something is going to happen to his body that he cannot control. And most people have never even heard of it. There are 3 layers to this story. The first is what actually happens to a fisherman's body after weeks at sea. The second is the science of why solid ground feels like it's trying to kill him. And the third is something that nobody expects, something that flips this entire question on its head. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why the ocean is easier to sleep on than land. So let's start with the obvious question. Why not just go to the hotel? Most people assume it's money. It isn't. A commercial fisherman on a good boat can pull in serious cash on a single trip. A room is nothing. That's not the reason. Others assume it's the smell, or that he's dirty, or that he doesn't want the hassle. Also not it. The real reason is physical, and it starts with something sailors have talked about for thousands of years. They call it having your sea legs, and it's real. It's not a figure of speech. When you step onto a boat for the first time, the deck moves and your body panics. You stumble, you grab the rail. Your brain has no idea what to do with a floor that won't hold still. But give it a day or two and something remarkable happens. Your brain adapts. It stops fighting the motion and starts predicting it. You walk across a rolling deck without thinking. You carry a full cup of coffee across a pitching cabin without spilling a drop. You've got your sea legs. Here's what almost nobody realizes. Getting your sea legs is not free. To pull it off, your brain has to physically rewire the system it uses to keep you balanced. And once it's rewired for the ocean, it does not switch back the second you touch the dock. Which is where the real problem begins. Because the tool your brain rewired is one of the most sensitive instruments in your entire body, and it lives inside your EAR. Deep inside each of your ears, behind the eardrum, there's a structure about the size of a marble called the vestibular system. It's a set of tiny fluid-filled tubes and chambers, and it is the single reason you can stand upright with your eyes closed and not fall over. As you move, the fluid inside those tubes shifts, and thousands of microscopic hair cells read that movement and fire signals to your brain. Tilt your head, the fluid moves. Spin in a circle, the fluid moves. It is a motion detector accurate enough to sense a change of less than a single degree. Now put that system on a boat for 3 weeks. The deck is rocking every few seconds, constantly, day and night, even while you sleep. And your brain, being brilliant, does exactly what it's built to do. It learns the pattern. It quietly starts generating its own internal counter motion to cancel out the rocking, so the world stops feeling like chaos. That's your sea legs. That's the rewiring. Your brain is now running a permanent background program designed to fight the motion of the ocean. And then the boat stops. You step onto the dock. The rocking is gone. But the program is still running. This is the thing they don't warn you about. Your brain is still pumping out counter motion to cancel a rocking that no longer exists. So it doesn't cancel anything. It creates. and suddenly the solid, unmoving ground beneath your feet starts to sway. The floor rises and falls. The walls tilt. You reach for a doorframe that isn't moving because your body swears that it is. Sailors call it land sickness or dock rock. Doctors have a name for it too. It's called mal de débarquement, which is French for the sickness of disembarking. And for most people, it fades in a day or two as the brain slowly powers down the program it no longer needs. But here's the cruel part. It hits hardest when you lie down. When you stand and move around, there's enough sensory chaos to distract your brain. But the moment you lie down in a silent, dark, perfectly still hotel room, there's nothing left to mask it. No engine hum, no real motion to explain the feeling. Just you, flat on your back, and a bed that will not stop rocking. The room spins, your stomach turns, you feel like you're going to slide right off the mattress, and you cannot sleep. This is why the fisherman stays on the boat, but that only explains why the land feels wrong. It doesn't explain the second half of the mystery, which is why the boat feels so incredibly right. Here's something most people have never thought about. Human beings love being rocked. We just forget it as adults. Watch anyone with a crying baby. What's the first thing they do? They rock it. Back and forth, slow and steady. Every culture on earth figured this out independently thousands of years ago and built cradles that swing. We know instinctively that gentle, rhythmic motion puts a nervous system to sleep. And then somewhere around childhood, we're moved to a bed that doesn't move. And we forget the whole thing ever mattered. Scientists actually put this to the test. Researchers built beds that rocked gently and slowly, and they measured what happened when adults slept in them. The results were striking. People fell asleep faster on the rocking beds. They dropped into deep sleep quicker, and they stayed there longer. The slow motion literally synchronized the brain into a deeper, more stable state of rest. Rocking doesn't just soothe babies, it rewires the sleeping adult brain too. Now think about what a fishing boat actually is. It is a giant cradle. 24 hours a day, that boat is rocking the fisherman with the exact slow rhythmic motion the human brain is wired to fall asleep to. Add the low constant hum of the engine acting like the world's biggest white noise machine, drowning out every random sound, and you've got a sleep environment that a hotel can't come close to. The rocking that makes tourists seasick is the same rocking that puts a fisherman into the deepest sleep of his life. His body isn't tolerating the ocean, it's addicted to it, which brings us to the third layer, the part almost nobody sees coming. You'd assume the goal is to get back to normal land sleep as fast as possible, that the boat is the problem and the bed is the cure. But ask the fishermen who've done this for 20, 30 years, and a lot of them will tell you something strange. They don't fully sleep right on land anymore. Some of them keep a fan running all night just for the noise. Some say the first few nights home, the bed feels dead, too still, too quiet, wrong. Their bodies spent so many years learning the ocean that stillness became the unfamiliar thing. And that's the twist. We think of solid, unmoving ground as the natural place to sleep and the rolling sea as the harsh one. For a fisherman weeks into a trip, it's the exact opposite. The harbor isn't rest. The harbor is the hard part. The still bed is where the sickness lives, and the rocking deck is where the peace is. So the next time you see a boat tied up in a quiet harbor and a fisherman climbing down into that cramped little bunk instead of walking up to a warm room on shore, understand what you're actually looking at. He's not roughing it. He's not too tired to move. He's going back to the one bed that still knows how to rock him to sleep. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever stepped off a boat and felt the ground move under you for hours afterward? How long did it last? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you learned something today, hit that like button and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.